2026. I will call to order Easton's Affordable Housing Trust meeting. And it's great to see you all in person again after, actually, it's been a really long time since we've been in person, but it's been also a good bit since we've actually met formally. So welcome back, everyone. And we'll start with roll call attendance. And just go around.
You state your name and that you're here.
Nikki Destumian, present.
Samantha Hill, present.
Jennifer Stacy, present.
Chrisanne Sheedy, present.
And do we acknowledge our friends in the room? Wayne Beitler and Donnie Fulgenetti?
Yeah, Wayne Beitler, Community Planner, staff support for the Affordable Housing Trust, and audience tonight is Ms. Fulgenetti, the
Chair of the
chair.
Select Board.
Cheering section.
Chair and cheer. Okay, great. So, did everyone have a chance to review and the past minutes from September 10th, 2025, regular session?
Yes.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
And then do we need to
I don't
go?
think you have to
Yeah,
roll
I think we
call.
can just do all in favor.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Unanimous. We will accept the September 10th, 2025 minutes. Okay, and thank you to Wayne, as always. We are looking at our updated financials, and we have a significant coffer. So we will begin to discuss potential projects and long-term plans for the use of our funds. And Wayne, you are the guru to me on just creative thinking and what is possible and what kind of ideas there are. So I would like to kick it over to you to see what you had in mind for brainstorming.
Sure.
Options, ideas.
Okay. So this is Wayne Beitler, and to set the table, the Affordable Housing Trust regularly gets the required 10% set aside of Community Preservation Act funds. And as advised by the CPC several years ago, the Affordable Housing Trust was explicitly told to build up its reserves so that it would have funding in order to tackle big projects. So the trust has followed that instruction and has done so. And following the appropriation at this past May annual town meeting, the trust has in its reserves and its funds about $3 million, which is a very sizable amount of funds and allows the trust, I think, to really consider some large-scale creative projects, which would, of course, require a good deal of planning, a good deal of public engagement. It could be several projects, but I think for tonight, it would just be discussing some potential ideas, which we've talked about before, which may be new arising from the discussion tonight, and then think of ways we would sort of prove those out, to do more research on them, to see if they're feasible. There may be some ideas that aren't ripe yet, that may not be feasible in Easton's context. But I think anything would take a couple of years planning for a significant project.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some projects we might want to start planning for so that we can start possibly moving something ahead in the next year or two? So for tonight, there'd be a vote. Hey, hello.
Aaron, so
So good to see you. Have a
come on
seat.
up.
Yeah. So for the record, Ernst Stephen has just arrived at 7:16. Thank you very much for coming.
So yeah,
It's a little weird to be doing it in person, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So we were just discussing that the trust has been receiving its 10% CPA funds each year, and on the instruction of the Community Preservation Act Committee has been saving these in order to have funds available for a significant project. We now have about $3 million that we've not really allocated to anything. After tonight, it would be helpful, I think, we had a vote for the administrative funds for 54 grand from the amount approved at town meeting, and then the remainder to probably just general small project. But we can get to that later in the agenda. So tonight is starting a discussion. What are some big projects that we might contemplate as informed by our affordable housing plan, by the town's master plan, by the recent municipal surplus properties planning effort?
Can you update us on that at all? I really am not aware of the municipal buildings that are vacant and what.
Sure. So with the new public safety and DPW buildings, the fire station and the fire and police headquarters and then the DPW headquarters, 3 properties or 3 sites will become surplus in the next year or 2. And those are the police and fire station over on Lothrop Street, the DPW facility at, I think it's 130 Center Street, and then if you know Fire Station 3 and the water department in the old school building down on Bay Road. So the town received a grant from the state to do a brief planning process on what the community might like to see from these. And there was a lot of interest in non-revenue generating uses, such as a community center or child care. There was also interest in selling them to bring revenue to the town, in developing housing on them, in preserving and rehabbing the historic schoolhouse down on Bay Road as housing. So that is online, and so there are various ideas that I think help inform the conversation that will happen in the next year or 2 with the select board, with the people of the town, as we look at what is actually feasible for these properties. How do you balance meeting needs that the town has articulated, funding those needs, because some things may not really match up.
Yeah.
So, how do we have conversations around that? So there are these 3 sites that are coming available.
How about the 2 schools?
I don't have any information on, are you talking Center School?
And Moreau.
Moreau Hall has gone back to Stonehill.
Okay.
And Center School, I don't have.
We had an RFP and nothing has advanced with the site. The select board listened to the input from the community and there was desire for recreational use there, but we didn't find a good partner to advance anything there. So unfortunately, it's no action at this moment.
And just to clarify with Moreau Hall, when you say it went back to Stonehill, we sold it to Stonehill.
Yep. Yep. It was they purchased it. There was actually an open RFP for that as well.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Just for the notes. Because a lot of people think we just gave it to them and we didn't.
Right.
And a lot of people think they just gave it to us and the town didn't. The town bought that back in the day, so.
Okay.
Yeah. And the building needed a lot of work to get it up to what they wanted to do for its
Assuming
use.
yes.
Yeah. So they were the ideal party to
I
purchase
did
it.
think it reverted back, so thought it's a good clarification. So would we consider Center School the 4th or maybe the first out of these 3? Now 4?
One thing that did, the planning process for the surplus properties helped articulate was almost all of these sites have expensive problems associated.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
The existing buildings may have some level of environmental contamination. It's not
Asbestos.
entirely quantified at this
Yep.
moment. We don't want to make any representations about things we don't know, but demolition and mitigation and remediation costs could be quite high.
Yeah, I think for Center School it was well over $1 million when we
Yes.
looked at it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So if you escalate it, when you
Right.
think about what it would cost now, but
Yeah. So for any of these sites, they may be less market appealing than folks
Yeah.
may initially think.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
also, that would be a cost if they were reused for some other municipal purpose. So it's definitely something to think about. And then some folks, including abutters to these various sites, have very strong opinions about what would or would not be suitable. So there need to be conversations about that.
And keep in mind the center school does have the carve out for the rink, which is part of the delay in getting that
Yes.
RFP issued in the first place. So any use would have to,
Yep.
understand and respect the situation there, which creates a dynamic. So.
And so some of the things that we have talked about in the past, I remember maybe a decade ago, we articulated some interesting projects, and we've done a couple of them. One of the interesting ones was a group home, and we did that with 300 Founder Street, which is a fantastic project. It's 8 folks with acquired brain injuries. It was a complicated project, but it's fantastic to achieve that. Another was partnering with Habitat for Humanity to build single-family affordable homes, and the town has done several of those. We'll have done 5. The ones at Morse Road are coming up this fall, so there'll be 2 down on Morse Road. Everyone is invited to come to a volunteer work day. Stay tuned. And then some other things we talked about, Chelmsford and Westford, about 10 years or so, did 2 developments, one in each town, of supportive housing for veterans, 8 and 10 units.
Did you say it was Westford?
Yeah, Westford and Chelmsford.
I knew
yeah.
Chelmsford.
Yep. And that could be an interesting thing to consider. Another thought is nonprofit developers build affordable senior housing, and as part of the affordable senior housing development, they can build a senior center that's for general public use. That could be an interesting thing to
Would there be needs around staffing the space that come into play? Like that would.
Unknown. I mean, it's all, there are some
Yeah.
nonprofits that do this. I think each little model is a bit different depending on the funding source and the partner.
Okay, so we'd have to really dig into the
That would be
operational
like,
model.
If folks are interested,
Yeah.
what would, what do we need to find out to tease that out? Things to think about from my initial research and from contacts I have out in the world. The smallest development that would be feasible for a nonprofit is 60 units, preferably more. So 60 is like the bottom.
Wow.
That would really work for this model. So you're looking at 60, 80, 100.
Okay.
So what is the public appetite for such a development? Where might be a location for that? Septic, how would you handle the wastewater?
Yeah.
That would be expensive. I printed out, I'm gonna have a little side digression. At one of the mass housing conferences a couple of years ago, there was a really good presentation about wastewater treatment that I thought was fascinating. And I printed out just one page from the presentation. It's called The Coolidge at Sudbury, and Benai Breath built 120 units of housing, and it's on 2 lots, about 5.5 acres, and it's just conventional septic on each lot, because with you calculating the flow rates for the bedrooms, so I was like, well, that's interesting. So, there are some ideas that I think could be pretty neat. Or partnering with a nonprofit in some other scenario. There are also developers that do mixed or all affordable small cottage style developments. The trust had discussed, and in fact I think it's part of the action plan, partnering with the CPC and Conservation Commission should there be open space conservation opportunities where there may be an appropriate portion of the open space area. Not every targeted open space would be appropriate for this. Could affordable housing trust funds be used for a portion of the purchase and develop a small element of that? Could that having a site for a modest subdivision, a couple houses, something larger. It would be very, very site contingent and conditional. Some more group homes is another possibility. So, there are various ideas and, what might be of interest to really start getting some concepts around how do we have conversations that might inform where we might go with this. Would it be feasible or supportable or supported by, the town and the townsfolk? Excuse me. So, these are all various ideas, and of course, I'm sure you folks may have ideas as well.
Do you know what the acreage is at each site that's available, other than just buildings?
I have not remembered.
Of surplus?
Yeah.
I send the link up to that report, all of that information.
Yeah. So I'll definitely send that out. I think Bay Road is about 12 and a half acres.
Really?
That's also the most valuable one to sell for development. It's, on sewer, and there's very strong feedback from folks that, given the town's fiscal situation, there's strong interest in.
Making money.
Make some
It's
money out
tough
of
though,
it.
because it's one-time money, and that really frustrates me. Like this idea that if it is a lot of money, there's an infusion, of course, that can help with the reserves or whatnot. But it's people don't understand it's a one-time thing, and the
Right.
operating budget is ephemeral. So
So that would be a conversation.
yeah,
Well, we have things with one-time money that we need.
that's true. That's true. I kind of want to look at what the trade-off is. I think before feeling I lean toward housing or some kind of solution like that. But
We could also partner with a developer on a project like that, and then the Affordable Housing Trust buys down some of the cost to, like, if they can't make it work with affordable units, you could put in the difference of what would make that work for them with affordable units. Is that the right way to say it?
Like with deed restrictions?
Yeah, you could put out an RFP requiring a small amount of affordable or something, depending on what the market might support, and then buy additional units.
I like that.
yeah, that's really interesting.
And you guys also took a house in tax title on Eisenhower and did minor,
Upgrades,
rehabilitation
yep.
to that. And then, that's a one-family thing, so it's not gonna give you help for 50 people, but that's another thing, just for the record, that you've done successfully.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also the money towards a one-time down payment for a house or a condo, that was very successful.
Yeah.
For some of these, the costs have gotten so high that we don't offer the down payment assistance anymore, because the affordable resale price of a house is about $225,
Right.
and with a price of $650 acquisition, that's not really a feasible use of funds. But should prices ever moderate, people did appreciate it. And then the buy, rehab, and resell, that was like a year and a half, and a pretty intense commitment.
It was a lot of work, and we weren't. Yeah.
From us to sort of the carrying costs of the insurance, and then the public procurement, now publicly owned buildings,
They're
replacing
kind of-
the roof
yeah.
was quite a process. But yeah, these are possibilities.
Yeah. We tried it.
Ideas.
Yeah, it was
Did
good.
it?
Good to
We
try.
did it.
We could
Yeah.
I
consider it
remember
again
the
if an
conclusion
opportunity
strong.
comes up. Yeah.
What about the Center Street, like the DPW? I feel like that's somewhat large and not much of a building.
Yeah, but how
So is that-
how much remediation would the site need is a
But,
question.
but I mean, like Center School seems like so
Yeah.
much more building to
Demo.
to demo and re.
But
But then, could
the-
you build something at scale, but then would the neighbors appreciate that? It's
I remember
it's a
the
conversation.
situation
It's a
at
pretty good
Cider
location.
was the remediating the years worth of I don't
Oils.
know
Chemicals
oil
that
or-
have infiltrated
Thank you,
the
chemicals.
groundwater.
I was trying to think of what
Yeah.
chemicals, but
Okay, that's
same-
true.
same-
Like
just
what's
the-
been
the
used
trucks that
there.
have been there.
Yeah, they were right on the
leaking
dirt
oil and
directly with the.
into the ground. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense, but because I was just thinking that's
No.
technically a smaller structure than
Yep.
the school.
Yep.
So maybe that
But
would
that could
be
be a
easier,
good
but there's
site
so many
for-
other
for a community
facets.
center. I know there's interest in having that be a community or
Yeah.
a
Good
senior
location
center.
for it.
It's a
Good
good location.
location.
Yeah, that would be a great spot for something like that because
But
it's
then
already
how-
set up for public to kind
Yeah.
of
But
come
then
in.
how do you pay for that?
Yes, that's
Right.
where it gets tricky.
They're not cheap, and then if you try to combine housing there, you've got the parking and the wastewater, and maybe you could.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but.
The same thing with the police and fire station on Lothrop.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
different levels of remediation, so that has environmental contamination too. Anything that has vehicles on it is gonna have stuff in the ground.
Yeah.
But it depends on the use of what you're going to do with it, so
Yeah.
there's different thresholds, if it's gonna be housing, if it's gonna be fields.
Right.
If it's gonna be
That makes sense.
a parking lot, like,
Yep.
you know, so it's not impossible to do, so it depends what you wanna do
Are
and
there-
the money.
Are there any restrictions on the Lothrop location based on the proximity to the schools?
I think a lot of that site isn't developable because
The
it's
back half is really
water. Yeah.
Okay.
I
it's-
think it's only about 2 acres.
It's like very narrow.
Very small.
It's 5
Oh, that's
acres,
right.
but
I
yeah.
remember
Right?
the
Like, I don't know if
picture.
that's the right word, but it doesn't,
Yeah.
there's not much depth,
Yeah.
right?
It
The
was
place
like
that the
odd
community
shape.
had were as more fields for the school.
Yep.
Or as a daycare center for the
Yes.
school, or like early education, preschool.
Well, we certainly need
Yeah, it would
more
be
of
nice
that.
to keep that.
And we have like the YMCA like using part of the elementary school, and it's not very.
And there are
Could be better.
for-profit, you know, daycare companies that might be interested in
Partnering with.
Yeah.
doing the work there.
Yeah, it'd be good to revisit that community survey that we did on those. Is that publicly available? On the
The plan that was presented.
on
The
the municipal surplus?
Oh, it is, absolutely,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. When
Surplus.
things aren't active, they go a little quiet on the
Yeah.
page, but they continue to
It's
ignore,
still there.
and I
Yeah.
can send you all
Yeah.
the link.
Yeah, it's just like jogging the memory.
Right.
And the other thing is, you know, selling land, it's a one-time funds coming in, but it's taxable every year, so it does bring up the tax base.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's taxable use.
I like the idea that you brought up of sort of supplementing
Affordable housing.
the
program.
affordability component of that of a development, because I know that could be or often is prohibitive for developers.
Especially over there where it's like sewer already.
Yep.
That seems like.
Yeah, the community mostly on that one wanted it to be its own like little village neighborhood.
I remember.
Yeah.
And they were actually talking about the building in the front as saving that as an arts and culture performance
Yes.
arts space
Yes.
building. Because again, that building is gonna be hard to remediate as a place for people to live, and that would cost a lot of money for a developer.
Got
They
it.
do it all the time, but they get grants and other subsidies
Historic,
to do
yeah.
it. And then having some retail, some restaurants, some housing, it's big enough to be able to like make that its own little contained village, so to
That would be
speak.
really cool.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Bring in more revenue, right? If you're saying stores, restaurants.
Yeah, because you want to really look at the utilities and take advantage of that, because that has sewer, it's very
Right.
valuable.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
Get a
thinking.
lot of
That's
bang
maybe
for
where
buck
the
with that.
That's
where the
huge.
focus should be. This is a lot to bite off at once. Sounds like
Not having to touch septic is
something without
huge.
septic sounds like a great place to start.
Yep.
But if we have the funds, then maybe we are the folks who tackle the thing without septic. We have to put that in.
Right. Right. Yeah.
In the center school, there was huge opposition from town meeting in general to do any housing there.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Even cute little elderly housing? They usually fight the family housing more than the elderly housing.
Yeah, it was definitely like zero appetite for housing at the spot.
But I mean, that doesn't mean we can't go back and try again, you
Yeah.
know, things change, people's attitudes change. You get younger people, we get a lot of younger people. We had a young man who, he sent us a scathing email that he was demanding that we start trying to look at affordable housing for young people, because, you know, when he gets out of school, where's he gonna live? And we invited him to our select board meeting to read his letter. He did a great job on it, he did a lot of research, and it happened to be in April, which is Affordable Housing Month, you guys were there for that, and it was very impactful. You know, younger people that are doing these civics projects that's coming up a lot, where they're saying, you know, even the two young people at town meeting a couple of years ago that got up and said they're afraid because their parents are saying that they might not be able to afford to live here, and then they can't graduate from school with of this lack of affordability.
Yep.
And as somebody who has a daughter that's 26 years old, you know, she's spending every dime on housing because for some reason she doesn't want to live with us. But she got an apartment and like she's just
Basically works to pay the rent. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah, I've had people approach me, contemporaries, saying, my son's still at home. Is there anything in town
lot
that's
of people are
affordable for
still
him
at
to?
home,
I'm like, sorry, there isn't. There's nothing that opens it up for, especially for a single person who's,
Yeah.
it's just not
And
there.
there's a lot of, I've gotten a lot of people reaching out that their landlord was selling the house and they're renting the house. And the most heartbreaking one was somebody who sent me an email that she had, I think it was 3 medically compromised children that were going to the Easton Public Schools and they needed the services that they were getting there. The landlord was selling the house. Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna find a 3-bedroom place for us to live in? And it's just not there. And then
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't like you could say, well, try some of the surrounding communities because they were getting the services they needed from Easton.
Right.
Of course, you wouldn't want to start over in another town with your kids. You know, I wouldn't want to do that as a mom. It's not optimal. So
Maybe maybe some of that is the right angle, like bringing back up the center school idea with housing, but presenting it with some of these facts more, like up front. I don't know.
Well,
There are more younger people like that weren't as involved a few years ago, maybe paying more attention.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say was I think that we've been talking about this for a while, the affordability problem in Easton, but I think at this point it's pretty well established that it's a crisis in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people have that's been saturated. The news has been saturated with that. So
And
I don't-
there's a lot of people doing second jobs and things now that you might not even think they are. You find out these things about people in order to maintain. So
maybe
jump
like
in.
less of the education has to go into just proving that point, and maybe more of the anecdotal stories might be persuasive now.
Maybe.
Because people know
Right.
it's a
A lot of people know somebody who's,
It's a
I don't know.
statewide crisis. It's not
Yeah.
just here. It's
Well, there was a report from MIT the other day that said that the greater Boston area is going to be one of the biggest regions affected by AI over the next 3 to 5 years. So we're going to see more challenges because of the makeup of our population.
Wow.
So it's going to be more of a crisis coming, which is terrifying.
wow.
Yeah.
I was just, so I manage grant programs across the state, and one of them is for early education childcare centers. And there's a lot of data right now that says that families are moving out of the state right now
Yeah.
because of childcare
In
costs.
droves.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're losing a lot of the what do they call it? The
Yeah.
migration
Yeah.
is really a big problem
Yep.
here. And you know, young people are coming to our great colleges and universities and
Can't stay.
learning
Yeah.
hospitals, and they get their education and they can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
My own son served 6 years in the Navy, and he's living in Virginia now because he was able to get a house down there that he would never be able to afford up here.
Right.
So how do we care for ourselves as older people when your kids don't live near you anymore?
Right. And how do we like spin that? Because people just, they get so worried about the housing and all these things I don't agree with. But like, how can we spin that around because of all these facts? Get the focus away from, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
It's worth thinking about.
Yeah, especially with this much.
I mean,
money
maybe
that
we
could
do
really
Right.
some
help.
kind of a campaign with just videos of people, if they wanted to have a video where they were speaking, or if they wanted to have a video where you couldn't see their face and they were talking.
Yep.
You could use other images there because that might be a hard thing for people to want to
Yeah.
put out publicly.
Right.
But maybe getting some examples of situations, where people are older and they can't find a place to downsize,
Yeah, well, that's another huge problem.
Yeah, and like
I
what
know.
you just said about your children not being close to you, and then that even the high schoolers or college students or young adults that have just moved back home and knowing they can't possibly stay anywhere near here. Like, I feel like you could hit a lot of categories.
Right. And plus,
Somehow.
you know, for current residents who have kids in the schools, you know, maybe reinforcing that the trickle down effect it affects the schools. You're going to have lower enrollment. You're going to have less kids in the classrooms. You're going to get less state funding per pupil. You're going to be, scraping by with less. It affects every person, even if you already have a house.
Yeah, the community declines across the board.
Yes.
So,
Well, things are gonna change. I was at a meeting a couple of months ago, and it was, somebody said, well, what's gonna happen when all the baby boomers die off, and then you have all this housing, what should we be doing? And I said, the best thing that every community should be doing right now, building new schools, because that's what's gonna attract people to your community. And when we built Bland James, we had that in mind. That was part of the strategy of building with a little bit of extra capacity, and it's showing right now. Those schools are, pretty full. Some of it drops off as the kids get older.
But the
There's
younger
opportunities
grades,
for
yeah.
private school and
Yeah.
so forth. But we have a big, pre-K to grade 2
Mhm.
class that will be going through the schools now. So
Okay.
we over the last 15 years, even with the amount of housing that we've built, we're still down about 400 students. So, but the problem is that it costs you the same amount to run your school, whether you have
Right.
full school or half full school.
Right.
And, it doesn't come out like if you say you're down 400 students, that's not like a whole grade. It's like, a few here and a few in this grade and a few in that grade. And it's not enough that you really get any kind of savings.
Savings,
Like,
right.
it's not like
Salary-wise.
we can get rid of
Yeah.
2 teachers.
No,
'cause it doesn't
that's where
work
most
that
of the
way.
money is.
Yeah.
No.
So.
There was, let's see if I can find it, I think I sent it around, a woman, what is her name, Tina Emanuel, I think? Tiffany, thank you.
She's speaking tomorrow at the Mass Housing Partnership
Okay.
Housing Institute.
She, I went downtown, and I think maybe you were there,
Yeah.
to see her speak a couple of years ago. And she had some good pointers to public outreach videos. And one of them was done by, I believe, Nantucket,
Yes.
featuring local folks who, what are we supposed to do? We can't live here.
Oh, yeah, talk about somebody who can't afford
Yeah.
to live.
That was so impactful though, because what they did is they had like nurse, doctor, teacher, firefighter,
Right.
police officers all in front of, a building. And it said, this teacher can't afford to live here anymore, so she disappears. And then it's like this firefighter, he can't afford to live here anymore, and then they disappear. And then all of a sudden, there's nobody there, and it's like,
There's
who's
nobody to
gonna
work.
support our services?
Yeah.
It's really true. At that time, I believe the fire chief of Nantucket couldn't live on the island.
Yeah.
So he had to commute like to the island from the mainland.
don't they have special housing now too, specifically for?
Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't.
But just because like the average firefighter couldn't afford to.
Cape Cod Hospital is having a really tough time finding nurses and doctors and other staff that live on Cape to be able to work there. So the housing crisis down there is really exacerbated by things like that. But that video, like everybody, there was silence in the room watching it because it's true. Who's going to serve your community? We have hospitals here that will be facing the same impact. If you can't live near where you work, Neil from McGuire's was talking about that at one of the Chamber of Commerce breakfasts. It's so hard for them to find help in our restaurant community because people aren't going to drive an hour. You might drive an hour for a high-paying,
Yeah, but
white-collar job, but you're not going to drive an hour
no.
for to work at Target or to work at the restaurants, things like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, what are some action items that we can all start chasing down from this? I mean, I can send the link to the municipal surplus study.
Yep.
I can send the link to the Nantucket video. I can scare that up. Is there more information, nonprofits I should reach out to? Do we have thoughts about how we can start fleshing out some of these ideas?
Are there? Sorry. Are there any examples of? Two of my favorites were Dottie's idea of partnering with the developer and providing financial support for affordability components. Are there examples of the state having done that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then
PBD Properties has done a lot of that.
PPD. And the other one that
And Community Builders does it as well.
the other one was any kind of examples of partnerships with developers that have built housing and community centers, like senior center, kind of what you were talking about. Also, oh, okay, you've already done that.
Stuff, a bit,
What?
but I can like
You pass
find
that one
more
down?
information.
I think what'd be helpful is to see the sites we're talking about and some of like their stats, and then it would kind of start bucketing the potential uses by the sites, and then we can start to kind of prioritize, figure out like how do we maximize
Interesting.
the fact that we have $3 million right now with those options. Like I kind of need to see it mentally on paper, but I feel like we almost could like map it out that way. Like here's the acreage, here's the developable acreage, here's kind of like what it would cost, market value or whatever. Like I don't know, and then we can start thinking about like this site could be the place where we do that, you know, subsidized affordable housing approach with a private developer. This is the site where we can do veterans housing. Like I think seeing it, and maybe we could put us all to work and say, okay, now you guys have this information. Like, what do you think? You know, we can each respond to it with a bit more.
That is, I think, a lot of that is actually in the surplus municipal properties
Okay.
plan in that format for the three surplus.
Okay, so we got to go back and reread that. I think that's our that's our homework then.
And there's also, I don't think we have to be constrained by the four properties the town owns.
Yeah.
One could conceivably buy something.
Well, when you had the property up on Electric Ave, it was 2 parcels.
Just
Yes.
little parcels,
And
yeah.
if I remember correctly, it was a while ago, one of the things that's attractive to the developers is if they come in and the utilities are there. So I think that the town, did we do something with the septic there? Get the Title III and get that all? or
We got
Title
it
V get?
designed.
We got it designed.
Yeah,
So we
delineated
invested
the
some money in
wetlands
that,
and
yes.
got it perked, and it's like, and, you know, and you could get a special permit because it's a less non-conforming use on the 2 parcels. with
So
all
doing
the
some of that
setbacks.
pre-development
Yeah.
work, and the Affordable Housing Trust paid for that. That pre-development work so that a developer can come in and it's like all ready to be permitted, and it's easy for them to come in. Because time is money on those projects,
Yeah.
right? So if they have to come in and start from scratch with the pre-development costs and going through the permitting versus it's like shovel ready, basically we just need you to come here and build a house and it's done. It makes a big difference to them. If they're in and out faster, they make more profit.
Totally.
And especially if something's gonna require some element of a special permit or zoning relief or some special allowance.
What are some of the entities that focus on veterans housing? I think we didn't talk too much about that one, but I think that's
Chelmsford,
important.
right?
Yeah, I made 3 copies of this one.
Okay.
So there's the fellow who runs the Chelmsford Housing Authority, I think?
Died.
Has retired, yeah, so this is like a snapshot of 10 years ago. So I think these grants no longer really exist and so on. But anyway, this very creative thinker up there got some significant federal grants which were available at the time. Might they be in the future? That's why we planned. And build, I think one is 8 units and one is 10 or something. And so nominally it was, I think the Housing Authority was the entity,
It became a nonprofit.
like some spin-off of.
They spinned off to a nonprofit so they could do some sort of developing and partnering with agencies. And Dartmouth did something similar too in their armory down there. They did it's a veterans housing, and I think it's the Sisson House now. Charlie Sisson was a selectman in town there. But and Connie Desbians was the Housing Authority director that got very involved in it too, and I could probably track Connie down as well. And I could probably track David down.
The thing with the veterans housing now is it's
Oh, yeah.
that, you know, is either on site or has the capacity to have people there daily.
Right, so you need the supportive element of supportive housing.
I went to,
Aging in place, same thing, very
the old
similar.
Stoughton Hotel when they just come out of Father Bill's in Mainspring, and I went in there, and they did a fantastic job.
They did, yeah.
I was never in it beforehand, but the rooms were, like, it was just enough stuff in them. They looked very warm and welcoming. It was really, really an outstanding job.
I was actually going to specifically ask about them as a partner. So,
Right.
I mean, I have family who live next door, so I know a bit about the nuances of how they work with the community. And in the end, it was actually a positive experience.
Okay.
You know, and my parents who live next door have had no problems with them as a neighbor, and there's good communication. So, you know, I think there was a lot of opposition in the community originally. And once they started opening communication, more folks, I think it brought it down. And the site, you know, the hotel previously, I went to high school with the girl whose family ran it, was, I think there were some challenges with the folks who stayed there more so than the audience that's there now. So really, it's been a huge improvement for that neighborhood.
Upgrading the property and bringing in.
Upgrading the property, it looks beautiful now. Like Dottie said, it's
Service
Regulated.
that was Father Bill's. It was
Father
more
Bill's,
for,
okay.
yeah, it's more like that transitional housing. I forget how many years, 20 something? Oh, 20, I would say 26, 24. But yeah, no, I mean, I've heard positive things about them as a partner. So I don't know if they're considering more projects.
John, who runs that, had said years back, you know, he lives in Easton, and he was like, you know, we would love to build something in Easton, and I was like, it's probably never gonna happen. It's a really hard sell, and that was even before people were as educated as they are now. But you know, I think that like the things that we've done when you talk about the one for the brain injured, that was practically unbuildable. We had to jump through all kinds of hoops to get that thing done. And, you know, that's very impactful and meaningful.
Did you say there's 8 individuals there? That's
Yep,
great.
it's like a 2-family.
Yeah.
There's a men's side and women's side.
Right, I remember, but I didn't know how like full it is. It's good. It's used.
Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely. Yeah.
There's a few of
I
those
like-
in Easton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one in my neighborhood, actually.
Yeah.
But it's just a regular looking house. You kind of have to know it's there.
I like how Westford says workforce housing. I think workforce housing.
Yeah,
That's a good.
and that's not
way
the
to-
veterans one. This is a
Yeah, no,
developer who
not
built this
veterans.
affordable
But
cottage
these very small,
development.
very energy efficient. I mean, they got a lot of them.
There's also, I printed out just the
There.
front page. Does anybody golf? Do you know Stowe Acres?
Mm-hmm.
So they did
I
this
used to go.
big, and this is just the front page of the town website. You can take a look and take a note of it. So Stowe Acres was, I think, 36 holes of golf. It's like 300 some acres, the biggest undeveloped parcel in Stowe.
Gotcha.
And they convened a big community planning project around this property for a couple of years and got a couple of votes at subsequent town meetings on a conservation and development strategy for this big property. So like with the southern half, they bought a conservation restriction on, so it's a golf course with a public access path, and it's going to just stay as a golf course. And then the northern half, part of it became conservation land, part of it became playing fields, and then they partnered with a for-profit developer to do mixed income and mixed age housing on the remainder. MCO housing is the development there. So I don't know at what stage that development is in, but we have significant open space properties in town,
Yeah, that's what
and
I
we have
was thinking.
significant housing needs.
That was a huge site.
It is a huge site.
Yeah, so there's I think and maybe something that big is awfully ambitious
Yeah.
in Easton context. I don't know that we have anything that's like 300-400 acres that would
Yeah.
actually lend itself to that without compromising the agricultural or scenic values. But as an example, might there be a larger outside of the Affordable Housing Trust opportunity to look at some of these big properties and think about them and talk to the owners and just conversations. And that's not, I think, something for us necessarily to do, but something to keep in mind. That could be an opportunity for some portion to meet some of these housing needs.
There's another idea that's kind of out of a little bit blue sky. We've just worked with Brockton to get an intermunicipal agreement to tie the industrial park to the Brockton sewer system. And so that's going to be happening in place. My vision of that is if you've gone out to TripAdvisor and, out on Route 95 or Route 128, depending on what you want to call it, their industrial park there has TripAdvisor as like an anchor for jobs. Then they have a lot of small businesses. They have hotels, they have housing, they have apartments, they have childcare. Again, it was built like that so that the people who come there to work, they can bring their kids there. A lot of people live there because they work there. They have a hotel there because people travel there a lot. Could we reimagine our industrial park with a piece
Especially
of
if
that
sewer,
housing in it?
yeah.
Because that's always the thing that prevents things. And housing where people work, it might not, I don't know if it pencils out, but it would be something I would like to look at and explore. I don't know what the parcel
Well,
maps
wasn't that
look
part of the
like.
parcel that you had to do that through the,
MBTA communities.
MBTA communities?
Yep.
That's-
The industrial park and up by Roach Brothers
Brothers.
and just one,
Foundry.
yeah.
There were
Well, the
3
park
identified
The park
areas.
that was zoned up on Belmont Street, that's gonna tie into the Queesit
Right.
sewer connection, but the industrial park is completely separate, but a place that already has the utilities,
Right, back
What's,
to
does the
that.
zoning in the industrial park allow for mixed use with housing? I can't recall what the zoning is there.
I'm not sure, but zoning can always be changed.
Oh, yeah.
Modified, so I don't know if it has an allowance for housing there, if it's mixed use.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
room.
just thinking about the extra
Sorry,
parts,
it's
but I
not
love that
such a
idea of
drive.
it being more of a
Space.
A campus.
kind of site.
kinda.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did a study, the Economic Development Committee did a study a few years back, and the question is, how do we get people to leave Stonehill and take a right instead of take a left to go to Panera and all that
Yeah.
stuff where young people go, right? Dunks and what have you. And so that was the impetus partly for putting the sewer down 138. But also looking at the parcels there, if you've ever gone behind any of those buildings like Wendy's or the Marketplace, there's so much land there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much.
Now, trying to get some of those owners to give up the land is a constant, hasn't worked yet, but I just think you should always keep trying.
Yeah.
Never know.
But also, there's not a river, a creek, a stream, whatever.
Yeah,
That goes behind all that.
Yep.
And so part of what we talked about is you could have a walking trail bike path that goes from Stonehill all the way to the industrial park. You could have businesses that open restaurants along there with their seating out behind there, so like it faces
The water.
We were talking about a splash pad for kids. How do you get people to be attracted to go down there, park here, and walk at all these other places? And so you'd want services that people would use, but particularly things for families and kids, because
Yep.
they'll go there, shop there, eat lunch next door, get an ice cream at the place next to that kind of a thing. And there's also across the street from that, there's a house. I think somebody lives in it. It looks kind of, it's off from the street, but it's down like next to the pond there, Morse's Pond. You have to really look for it, and that would be such a great restaurant there, like an old, what was the name of the one that was there back in the day?
Are you talking Belmont?
No,
On
where
Belmont?
CVS was,
Oh, okay.
there was a famous Easton restaurant there.
Oh, I know what you're talking
I
about.
can't think of it, I can picture it, it was a number.
wow, this must have been a while ago. I don't.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And like Benjamin's, that was a special restaurant. Like I
Yep.
could just picture a restaurant down there on the water. So there's a lot of opportunities and possibilities down there.
So is the industrial park totally built out? Is there acreage there that's
It's underbuilt.
underbuilt?
Hence the sewer is
Very, and how it abuts what you're talking about with the Wendy's, and there's like a Thai food place and
Oh, that
real
plaza,
estate,
that-
and like it's all, there's just so much.
I have no idea how that marketplace continues to
Is that what
survive.
that's called, marketplace? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there's been stuff in and out over the times, but
It's
not.
an out-of-country investor that owns that.
Oh,
and
really?
It's a family. There's
Oh.
like 5 families.
Okay.
like, collectively.
Okay.
And so
That's tricky.
they would, they can't come to agreements on what they want to do with it.
That's hard when it's that many different people.
So I've talked to them personally myself a couple of times.
Okay.
The timing wasn't right, but I just believe it.
But there might be,
You know,
yeah.
keep asking.
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes the time is right. You just don't know when it's gonna be.
And then you get the vacant bank building there by CVS too.
Yeah.
Would any of these folks be open to an approach by the Affordable Housing Trust to buy the property?
Yeah, I was wondering, what does that process look like? Is it just directed outreach, or is there kind of like a
I have
blanket?
no idea.
I don't either. Dottie, what's your experience with this?
I don't think it would be for the Affordable Housing Trust to buy the properties. I think it would be to get the interest that they would sell it,
Yeah.
find a developer that wants to buy the property and sell it, and have the Affordable Housing Trust have
Partnership
some
with it.
participation in
Yeah.
Have some affordable units.
it. Right.
I know, like, how do you? I was having this conversation with someone the other day about like, how do you casually like let folks know that you're open to offers on your property, like kind of thing. There should be some kind of mechanism for that where you're not
There is.
actively. Yeah, what is? How do you actually do that? Like, I just don't.
People send me postcards all the time in the mail saying that they want to buy my house.
Yeah, I was thinking more like, I know someone the other day, or the context was like another neighbor got bought out from someone I was talking to, and they're like, oh, I would love if that person came to me as well. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, what does that look like easily? How do you kind of put it out there that you're receptive?
Like a LinkedIn open for work.
Yeah, just, and I know people reach out, but they're reaching out, most people aren't responding. Like, if you get those things too, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Well, it's also important to keep in touch with the planner, because if people are interested in making moves in or out of Easton, a lot of times the town planner will hear about it, they'll come to them with questions about things too.
Yeah.
So, you know, if Ken knows that this is something that is of interest to you, maybe he keeps his ears open a little bit to see.
Talk to the realtors in town.
Well, I like talking to the Economic Development Committee too. They must have some inroads with folks who would know these things and have ideas about who might be.
Potentially. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember that there's several plots on the back side of the Bank of Easton on Robert Road. Remember that we were talking about that when we were looking at zoning that for FPTA communities, and they didn't want to be part of that
Yeah.
zoning because they might want to sell those. So, you know, maybe that's an opportunity at some point. Because
Doesn't
again,
Doug-
that would connect to sewer there.
Doesn't Doug King own a lot of that stuff back there? He used to.
There's some apartments that he does that's like relatively close to there. We're talking about like across from Target, right?
The one that I'm mentioning for the parcels is like behind Bank of Easton, so it's on the street, like behind Target almost.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's yep.
I'm thinking of the other Bank East. Okay.
That's where I was picturing.
Oh, you're thinking about Washington Street?
Yeah.
That was, the Turner Brothers had that, the 44 units, what's that, 244 Washington?
Yeah, Washington Place or something.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. Or there are stalled out developments that don't seem to be making progress.
I wasn't planning on saying anything tonight.
Connie, you're here. We're gonna use you, so you're on the hook for talking more.
Thank you.
That scared me, I didn't know Joe was here.
things to do some more research on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how we can make these actionable.
Right, yeah, what are the action items on this?
Yeah, it feels big and a little bit abstract at the moment.
Right.
Like, there's so many ideas and so
And
many
it
paths.
is, for as large of a savings as we do have, it is not in the scale of what we're talking about.
Right, it's a,
We can
Yeah.
do maybe part of one of these things, right? So,
but it is something attractive that could, bring a partner to the table.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, we're not like doing any of these things with just our own.
It's kind of basically, isn't that similar to what happened down at Shovel Shop?
There was significant public investment in loans and grants.
And then it was a private developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it produced in the same, I mean, how many years have we been trying to maintain enough affordable housing to avoid a 40B? But it's almost sounding like it's a bit of a 40B that we're looking to do.
40B is not necessarily a bad thing.
No,
There's
it's
a lot of
not.
upside to it. The problem with 40B, in my opinion, is it doesn't generate housing that's truly affordable. The Shovel Works has a wide range of affordability, but not all of them do. Some
Yeah.
of them, if it's only 80% area median income, that's still not affordable to most people in a town like Easton.
Yeah, even Avalon is no actual bargain.
There are folks with mobile vouchers who go into the affordable units. So in that case, you do have truly quite low income households being able to utilize that. But yeah, it's 80%.
Getting one of those vouchers is 5 to 8 year wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd be looking at a much deeper level of subsidy, if you will, for truly affordable units as part of the mixed income development.
And if you're looking at any elderly housing and you start talking about a low income housing tax credit, I'll tell you right now, it's really not affordable.
Yeah.
Maybe affordable for some of the upper echelon of Easton for that transition.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for affordable, that's over at the Housing Authority, low-income housing tax credit is not the same vehicle. Not even close.
Teasing out or having conversations with potential nonprofit partners for the affordable senior housing, that is part of it. It's like, what does affordable mean?
right.
I could give you an actionable item.
Love it.
Reach out to Jason Korb of Capstone Communities. He and his partners have built 100% affordable units in Cambridge and other areas. But if you can do it in Cambridge, you can do it anywhere.
Right.
He was on the project team that built the Shovel Works. And so if you need an introduction, I'd be happy to make the introduction for you.
This was back in 2011.
Yeah.
What they did in Westford is awfully impressive, and this is
Yeah.
100% affordable. And they had
Right.
75% of their community voted in favor. The way they,
David Hedison
I mean,
was
that was a long
half
time ago.
genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was, I don't think this is even the David Ellison meeting, this is the other project, the cottages,
This is the cottages, yeah.
yeah, which was a private developer who did that.
So it wasn't part of the nonprofit he put together?
No, that was the.
The veterans housing,
It's a
okay.
different project from that one, yeah. And there are, half dozen to a dozen, developers, both for-profit and nonprofit, that can do this kind of thing. But each project is different and has a different level of subsidy and public support and, zoning needs.
Subsidy's the key piece. To find anything and then make it affordable and keep it long-term affordable
Yeah.
is having a subsidizing vehicle.
Yeah.
And the state used to be invested in all that, no more.
Right.
So, and I know everybody says we need more affordable housing in Massachusetts, but Massachusetts is one of 3 in the nation that has its own public housing. So we offer a lot more affordable housing than a lot of other places do.
But also, there has to be a vehicle to maintain that kind
Yeah.
of housing, and that's the problem with our housing authorities is they don't have elevators, they have never had the funding for the rehabilitation that you really need in these housing that was built in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, because the state was unable to afford to continue to maintain the asset at the level it needed to be maintained at. So now it's just all
Any house needs a
Band-Aids.
new roof every 30, 40 years. It just does.
Yep.
I had public housing authority with elevators, so they do exist. Yeah, there's no generators, or the generator only powers the community building and doesn't power the units. So yeah, it's
And these are the folks most vulnerable to a climate crisis event.
Absolutely.
A storm, a heat wave, an ice storm, yeah.
Is there any world where there's expansion of the housing authority?
the state will have no part and party to that. So the only avenue really is to put a nonprofit together and then go out and find that partner who's going to work with you to make it happen. But sometimes the state was talking about developing more family housing, but I think they're even backing out of that picture. Because initially it was all veterans housing, was it the first wave? Then it really became elderly housing, then it was family housing, and then the last thing was kind of like the group homes for that partnered with DMH and so.
Are there already existing nonprofits that would not have to be stood up by us that could partner with the Easton Housing Authority on doing a project over there?
A development of units? I think that site's kind of maxed out. I mean, there is no really spare parcels over there for development.
I know there are.
Because there are 194 units down there.
It's a state housing authority, right? It's not a federal one.
No, we have Section 8 vouchers, but no federal money in the actual properties that we have.
There's a federal program that leverages public funds and private investment to redevelop public housing properties that need redevelopment and get both newer and more.
To federalize them.
That already federal ones. There's like different levels, right? There's kinds of public housing, right? The one in Easton is not. It's like its own town thing. I don't fully understand, but there's.
What are you talking about?
Where I lived in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
there's beach street homes, and that's like a federal public housing project, and then there's Archview, and that's a state public housing project. There's like different.
Yeah, you can have project-based from the feds. So you can have Section 8 project-based developments, and that's all federally subsidized. But then there's state public housing, that's completely state.
And what is Easton?
State.
Right.
It's all state.
And the federal one can get redeveloped. There's a program that does that, but I don't think it would work for a state one like Easton.
Well, a lot of the state ones were trying to become eligible and had to get renovated to federal standards to then become a federal property. And the state was really pushing that because they wanted to get rid of some of these units. So a lot of them did get federalized, but it's quite the project to do that.
I think in one of the towns, it might have been Needham, they had, property like on a parcel next to their housing authority units. And so they built that and moved some of the people there over to there, and they were shuffling it around to build new, redevelop that, and just kind of redevelop the whole area.
That's what Brocktonhausen is doing right now with the Campello site.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they're
So something like that with the Easton Housing Authority.
If there was like land, like a parcel next to it that could be
It would
purchased.
start the process of having a place for people to go while you're redeveloping. If that would be a feasible thing.
I had 2.2 acres down in Fairhaven that I could never figure out a way to develop anything on. And I wanted it to be part of our campus because we had tons of nice buildings and it could have been, but it was just, everybody wanted low-income housing tax credits in there, and you needed a certain number of units, like you were saying, a 660 count unit, and the site didn't support it. So that land just sat there. It was just, and there was nobody to subsidize it. And we put an RFP out there, and PB Properties jumped on it, but they wouldn't partner with us. It was like we were going to basically almost like lease it to them for a buck or something ridiculous. And we were like, no, we want to manage it. We need some income from it. We want you to develop it, but we want to be partners. And they didn't want to play that game either. So, yeah, but anyhow, I digress.
So, how do we advertise those properties that we have available to those developers, and how do we offer them, what we have, what we can do, how we can do to help them out?
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, first up, like, we don't actually have anything to
Right.
offer anybody.
Right.
And I don't know what folks would actually be looking for from us that would be feasible. Like, I'm pretty ignorant about this. So, how could we present something that would be attractive to someone? Because, the pre-development work, zoning permissions, does it actually meet a community vision? Is it financially feasible? And so I always feel like we need them to tell us, like, what you're looking for, like if we could ask some specifics. And I think you can put out like a request for interest or something. There's like some way to just advertise, would you be interested in partnering on a 60 to 80 unit affordable senior complex with a public senior center component?
This might be really stupid, but
But that's the point of this meeting.
Stupid is good.
I mean, this is like really elementary, but I'm thinking, like, what about going to some organizations that have
Right.
have completed successful programs, right? Like PPD, and kind of interviewing them. Like, what did you find helpful? What do you see in the horizon? What things would be helpful for you? We have a bunch of things. Like, what do you think would be attractive to someone like you? And if you're not interested in any of this, do you know people that are? And what kind of things would be attractive? What can you do?
Yeah, like put yourself in our shoes
Yeah.
because you've done something similar somewhere
Help us
else.
help
So,
you.
like, what?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
But
And
that's
also
kind of like
talking
what
to
you're
the
saying.
towns
Like,
that
how
have
do you
done it.
advertise?
Right.
How do you make the connections with the groups that might want to networking?
Exactly.
So there's an architect out of Cambridge, Leonardi DRA. He partnered with the Westport Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah, he was in our housing meeting sometimes.
Yeah, and they built Noquachoke Village, which was, I'm not exactly sure what that all played out to be, but that took a lot of work on Westport Housing Authority, Westport Affordable Housing, to get that off the ground. But Leonardi was very key to that, and he, I think, they ended up building that through community builders, but Leonardi really had a piece on that. He's out of Cambridge, I think. I think he's
Doesn't the community builders only do big project stuff?
probably. I think they all want big projects because that's where they make the money.
And it's not financially feasible less than 60 units, but maybe some things we're contemplating could be. But I don't know.
It might not hurt to talk with the tax assessor and see if they have the list of tax title. I know that the laws have changed on that make it a little bit more complicated, but it's worth the look, it's worth the ask. I know that when we did that, that's how we discovered the Electric Ave properties. And sometimes they are abandoned properties because they're too small to do anything on, but on that one on Electric Ave, there were two of them next to each other,
Right.
so that you just don't know what it looks
But,
like. I think
yeah.
it's worth taking
Yeah,
the
it's a
time to
great
take
idea.
the
It
look.
might be. Yeah, I've done, I think, 3 sweeps over the years, but maybe something new has come on.
Yeah.
And so we identified some of the ones that we partnered with Habitat on came out of that.
Right.
And I think everything else was like this big, and there's reasons.
What was that other one? Clawfoot? Crowfoot.
Gear.
Yeah. Was that a lot of land down there? I forget.
It's not a lot of land. It's an old industrial site. It's an old factory building. There's a new roof on it at the moment, I believe.
Where was that?
Isn't that next to Hennessy's Liquor?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Oh,
right
I
on
thought-
It's right on Queeson
That
Brook.
corner, yeah.
It's on
Someone
22nd.
owns it now, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, somebody does.
There's environmental
They're
issues there too. You
spiffing it
wouldn't
up.
be able to put housing there unless there was remediation.
Yeah, it could be like a mini shovel works, but it would be a big deal.
Significant. Yeah.
It's remediation.
Yeah, but, yeah, I was, sort of shooting some ideas with a friend of mine who's in affordable housing and, you know, to talk about like potential sites. He's like, well, remediation, there's your 3 million.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But nonprofit groups can apply for grants for that as long as they were not the contaminator. So,
yeah. So I think any project is going to look very different when and if it happens from
Right.
when our initial concept of it is, because all these variables will shake out as you move through the process of finding out more. But yeah, it sounds like the real big thing to do is to talk to people who have done this. You know, to towns that have projects, so we could, all of us, research towns
Yeah.
that seem comparable, that did something kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Any of these half dozen ideas we've been bandying about. And then also developments. I'm assuming we're not worried about that. And also any of the developers, whether nonprofit or for-profit, you know, sounding them out. So I guess,
But a round of each of us kind of going back and doing a little soul searching and deep research, kind of send it directly to you.
I
You
think
can
maybe,
synthesize it maybe and
like
we can,
these are ones to talk to, and
Yeah.
then I'm trying to think like what's an efficient way so that we can all hear what's going on, because we need to educate ourselves.
Right.
yeah. Should we just have another meeting where we review what we share, I want to be mindful of open meeting law and everything else. So we can
Exactly,
send it to you maybe and then have a meeting to just debrief on it. We can compile it.
Yeah, these are some
Information
things we've explored,
gathering
people we've
and-
talked about.
Yeah.
I like
Kind of
that.
have a plan pulled together and then we
Yeah.
can then think about like feasibility, timeline,
Yes.
what we would be spending, like best bang for our buck opportunities and stuff.
We have to be careful with this, because imagine a future where we put out an RFP for a development, and one of these people we've talked to, you know, is a competitive bidder.
Is that
So, right, so I mean, we need to like think
Yeah.
how we have these conversations.
Well, your case studies are really powerful, and there have to be so many more that we all just kind of go to
Yeah.
sit down and think of the things that are most important to us and
Yeah.
do some of that deep
Maybe
research.
we invite somebody from MHP to come talk to us.
Can you finish your thought though? Because I don't know that I was completely following. So imagine that one of these people that we talked to ends up being somebody who's placing a bid, and you were like starting to say maybe what somebody could say that would be a problem.
Then
you
it's kind of a
shared too
conflict of
much
interest. isn't it?
Well,
Specific.
yeah, so you
Executive
have to
session
do
for
like an open procurement process for anything you're going to do.
Yep.
And if you've had detailed conversations with one likely developer but not another likely developer, would that be an issue?
Ethics.
Got you.
it wouldn't be, I don't think it would, because
Probably
you're
not.
not giving detailed information, it's research.
Okay.
The bigger thing might be, you might not have people that want to even talk to you because you don't have something ready for them to talk about.
Right, there's
you know.
nothing for them to.
They would
Keep
be
it
very
to theoreticals
generous.
and research, right?
Yeah,
and we're
they'd be
okay.
very generous to give you a little bit of time to maybe point you in the right direction if
Yeah.
but like they're not going to get into much deep,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. They might, in the kindness of their heart, give us a 10-minute phone call, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't think one of these nonprofits or something is going to take 4 hours out of their evening to come and talk to us.
I think Mass Housing Partnership would like steer us in the direction of looking at some of their webinars and things like that, because they don't really get into this level. I think, Wayne, that was one of the first things we went to out in Chelmsford one time, and we were ahead of the game from a lot of the other people that were in that room as far as ideas and things like that. I mean, you could certainly ask them, but you should be very clear in what you're asking for, because I've done a lot of work with them, and I don't know.
Sometimes it's hit or miss with them.
Yeah.
I've worked with them too, and yeah, I've had good and bad.
Are
Not
you going
bad,
to, are
but
you going to their housing
ineffective.
institute tomorrow?
I'm not.
I'm going tomorrow. If I see anything or pick up any information, I'll bring it back to you.
That would be huge.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I or we don't know enough to know what we even need to ask in a way.
Right.
And we have so many potential possibilities. It's not like, well, we have this one project of 5 acres that will need septic, and we want, 40 units of senior housing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's like we don't even know what we're asking.
I think Jason will be really good. He's very generous with his time. I've known him for a long time. He's a good friend to Easton. He lives relatively locally. You could do a Zoom with him, and I'm sure he'd give you guys a half hour to pick his brain.
We should talk to like a professor from a planning program and have him do a project where his students pitch
I
ideas
like
to
that.
us. And Boston University's program is working adults, so you actually probably could find a good.
That would be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who runs this. Probably used to know who ran the program, but he left to go to Lincoln Land Institute. But I would be happy to dig into that and see if there might, because student competitions for ideas, the faculty love these real world examples. You get the students thinking and doing the research for us. Again, theoreticals are doing a little bit of research, but I don't know.
I did a
It's
project,
a cool project
with Boston University a few years ago, and the topic was how to get people to participate in public meetings for things like housing and zoning changes and so forth. And they had a short group and then a longer group. So one was like a 5-week thing, one was longer. And the students gave us some really interesting presentations.
Yeah.
I would have to Google. He's the one who did the report on what people attend public meetings to oppose housing.
He's a faculty member at BU.
Yeah.
Was he in the Met planning program, or was he in
Yeah.
one of the other colleges?
I think he was in planning.
Okay.
I'll find his name.
Yeah, I got my master's from there like a long time ago, so I don't know what faculty are
Same,
still there
yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
I have no idea who's there these days.
They wrote a big report that CHAPA had, and they took meeting minutes from all over the state for any kind of housing project at a planning board or a zoning board of appeals, and they captured the attendance. It's older people, it's whiter people, it's usually men, and these are the opponents. This is not opinion or whatever. I'm telling you that this is what this report showed. And the reason for that is because a lot of the people, they've lived in town longer, many are retired, they have time on their hands to pay attention to these meetings and go to them, and like that's what the opposition is in a lot of them. So if I Googled that description, his name will pop up, so.
So I also know Jenny Raitt, who
Yeah,
has.
I know her too.
Okay, she might be another one to bring in and talk to. And she
Yeah.
taught at BU.
Yeah, she's a good
She's
idea.
awesome. She might be willing to talk with us and consult with us. She's an expert on all of this stuff, and she's now the director at large of the board of directors for the American Planning Association, executive director for Northern Middlesex Council of Governments.
She's going to be speaking tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to,
I haven't
yeah.
seen her in so long. I took a class with her, so it was one of the hardest classes I ever took too. It was like she threw us right in and was like, "Here's a bunch of all the pieces of getting a project through. Put them in order." And we were all just like, but
A really good idea.
yeah, maybe we could have her talk to us and see if we
maybe-
could.
Might do a Zoom meeting for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out. I didn't take notes because I didn't bring a pen, but if you send out the notes after, I'm happy to reach out to Jenny. Okay, if I take that,
Sure.
I'll make my action items, reach out to Jenny and look into, I can ask her about the BU thing too, because she taught there. So maybe she'd have some ideas for who to contact.
Why not offer to compensate them for their time? We got money.
Oh, the students would gladly do it as part of their project though. I mean, and they're paying the university a lot of money to go there.
But people like Jenny or Jason, they care a lot about housing, and they would never charge. I don't think.
I don't think they would
that
either,
They would
but-
be generous to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to reach out to her. So that would be, so I'll do that. And then, like I said, I'm happy to do a round of deeper research. I mean, look at some case studies and stuff. And yeah.
Harvard always did our cost study to evaluate all the public housing in the state and what was needed for finances to keep it up and coming. So Harvard has obviously something over there as well. Not sure. Trying to think who it used to be that.
The Kennedy School or at the GSD?
I just know it was always referred to the Harvard cost study.
Yeah, it sounds
That-
Kennedy School-ish.
So do we feel we have enough ideas of things to research and people to call?
Yeah.
We've at least
Looking.
defined a little bit of the landscape we need to explore.
Do you want to set a timeline? Because I work really well, and it's like, hey, let's plan on reconvening at a certain point.
Well,
It's
I
like,
was thinking
do
my
our
next
next
thing
meeting.
is, when's the next meeting?
yeah, and then back
Give
into
us-
that. That would be
Yeah.
perfect, because otherwise.
And I'm assuming we've loved getting together in person, but we would prefer Zoom meetings for convenience.
I think it depends on what we're talking about and what we're. This was really effective, I think, for
Yeah.
this because we're not tripping over each other talking, and
Yeah.
having Dottie here was wonderful. So I guess it depends on if we have another guest, and if we want more conversational vibe, or if it's more his information kind of energy.
Do we prefer in person or virtual? Agnostic?
Well, I guess let's define the scope of the next meeting first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
'cause
gonna
if
be
it's like
doing-
this is hard on Zoom
Yeah.
Right.
because it's hard to like talk.
And I feel like it would be like this.
I
Our
just
next
stay on
meeting
mute.
would be.
But if we got a guest speaker who's like, I'll join you on Zoom, then
Yes.
we wait. So yeah.
Or if it's just sharing out information, like what we maybe come across, researched, or connections we made. We could each take turns sharing something out. That could be fine on Zoom.
Yep.
Or we can do it every other month, either Zoom or in person.
Every other
Every
month?
other month.
I'll alternate
Yeah.
things.
Alternate.
Yeah, I can do it.
Can we pick one that works for us either way for now, and then we'll hone into this next one, just since we're in this like really cool momentum moment.
Very true.
Yeah.
So this is Wednesday the 24th. We'd be looking a month-ish
Yep.
out. Which would be what, the
22nd.
second, I think, right?
22nd. Oh, I'm in the wrong month.
Philly, Thursday.
So that's a Wednesday or a Thursday?
It's Wednesday the 22nd, which I'm not married to. I mean, we've got Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I think Mondays, some folks have meetings.
Wednesday is good for me.
Yeah, this time
Tuesday's
was
not good.
pretty good. Tuesdays are terrible for me too.
Thursdays are good-ish.
I've got
Wednesdays.
Thursday would be better
for
for me that week.
I'm actually in Philadelphia.
On the 23rd? Okay. Okay. Oh, Wednesday I can deal.
22nd.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So 22nd at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
But Zoom versus location is
I'll do that.
TBD.
Thank you for deferring your yoga. Does Wednesday, July 22nd work for you, do you think?
Yeah.
At 7 again, do you think?
I actually like the 7 o'clock time.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Just
Wednesday,
make sure
don't
that
know
anybody
yet.
who is
Oh.
getting reappointed gets sworn in before then.
Great call.
So 7 on the 22nd.
Yep.
And the location is TBD, whether it's Zoom or in person.
We'll assume it's here, but might be Zoom.
The way I just did this. Oh no, this is old. Never mind. I was putting it in, and it was offering me to send it to invitees. I'm gonna cancel this because this is old.
I got it. Yeah, thank you.
How do I get rid of the invitees? All right, so we said the 20, Wednesday, July 22 at 7.
Perfect.
Okay.
Groovy. And we'll assume in person, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I agree, if it's a sort of a free conversation of ideas, in
Yeah.
person is easier for that.
Yeah, Zoom gets awkward with that.
We might still be a little unformed in our thinking.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like the least Zoom person here probably, so.
No.
So we're all going back, reading the report that we need to kind of refresh our brains with, doing research, kind of reporting that into you, and then any other action items that any of us had around outreach and other things.
And just keeping your eyes and ears open, or thinking about neat projects and researching those. That's where
Yep.
like a lot of this stuff came up for me. I'm like, that's cool as heck.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of a visual thinker and a backwards planner. It's like, that is neat. How did
How
that
do you
happen?
get there?
Yeah.
And how do we?
I think
get
that's
that
how
for
we do it.
ourselves? Yeah,
I think that's how we're gonna have to do it.
yeah.
That's where kind of like digging into the
Yeah.
case studies and stuff will be
Yeah.
pretty powerful.
See the neat things that might work in an Easton context.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try and track down Connie in Dartmouth regarding veterans.
Cool.
And I'll try and reach Leonardi.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Because, like I said, he was pretty sure he was the big Westport push
Yeah.
to get that off the ground.
Very cool. And I think the last thing is voting on the finances.
Oh, right.
Are we reorganizing?
Maybe after everybody gets reappointed,
Okay.
maybe that could be an action item.
For July.
So for folks who have re-upped and get reappointed, please get sworn in. Does everyone have to get sworn in each year, regardless of whether you're
No,
or on
just
your
when you're
appointment?
reappointed.
Okay, so that would be
Yep.
yourself. Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Just
And
stop in
Laura,
anytime,
should
right?
she?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then at that July meeting, we can vote for chair and clerk again. Thank you for your service in advance.
Can I take some of these home?
You can have all of this. Yeah, I printed a
Take
bunch
what you
of
guys want, and then
stuff.
I'll just.
Yeah, this is the only thing I need. If anybody
Feel
wants
free to
this
take
printout
them,
about the
and
whole
just-
challenge thing.
We're voting on the finances.
And then we need to vote on it.
We're voting on this 54,000?
I think we'd be looking at two votes. I think one would be a motion and a second to allocate 54,000.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
I'll say.
Gonna take a look.
From the 235,925 approved at May 2026 town meeting. And so the motion was,
Jen.
okay,
None.
the second was Bill?
Well, we went
Hill.
back.
We
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of both said it. so-
Oh, okay, all right, Stacy, one, Bill, second. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to allocate 54,000 from the $285,925 CPA funds approved for the trust at the May 18, 2026 annual town meeting to the CPA Affordable Housing Administration sub-account. And we don't need to do roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then, I can't do the math, what's remaining? Better living through technology.
231.
You're subtracting it from the 285, what's remaining? Oh.
Should have done this in advance. Time got away from me. I believe it's,
Two,
you just said
231,
930,
920.
925.
25, yeah.
Impressive.
I went to Easton Public Schools.
Or is it not?
Oh, God,
impressive?
no. I was a North Shore person.
Oh, I see.
Were you?
And we dropped off the cliff when we moved to the South Shore, and
Oh,
everybody
wow.
was like, "Are you ever coming back to Stoneham?
Stoneham.
You know, you can't get there." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my
It's a big
God."
move. My mom did it and has not given her families.
It's a
Where'd she
huge
come from?
movement. We're like that too.
Revere, but a while ago, and all of her family went Topsfield, Andover.
Oh yeah, all my family and friends are all north.
So a motion and a second to allocate the $231,925 remaining from the $285,925 of CPA funds approved for the trust at the May 18, 2026 annual town meeting to the small development general subcommittee.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you. Let's have the next meeting.
For the notes, too unanimous.
We did the meeting, so do you just want a motion to adjourn?
I think so.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for letting